Hello again and welcome back to the studio.
These yew trees in our front garden were the inspiration for today's artwork, and we're going to need some white, red, yellow, green, blue, and black. I'll start by sketching using a diluted mix of the sap green today, and I'll just make an indication of where I'd like the hills to be and also where I think the trees might be. I started blocking in the sky. I started at the bottom of the sky with a pale yellow mix made from the medium yellow and the white. I went about a third of the way up, and then I mixed together a nice light lavender color using my blue and red with a bit of white for the middle of the sky. Again, I went about a third of the way up. For the top of the sky, I just used a mix of the blue and white, the ultramarine blue with the white. If you feel that that blue and white mix is too bright for your sky, you can add a tiny little touch of red just to dampen it down a bit. Of course, your sky colors could be anything you like in your imagination of your sunrise, but these are the colors that I've picked for this exercise. We're going to block in the grass now just with a mix of sap green straight from the tube. I usually don't like to use green straight from the tube because I prefer to mix my own greens using my blue and my yellows, but for today, just to save energy and time, we'll use sap green straight from the tube. Just a thin layer because we'll go over this later on. I lost my little lines that I made for my tree, so I put those in again using just some sap green, and I started with a letter Y at the bottom of the tree and then chose the top of the tree, the apex, and then worked my way down from there. Of course, I've chosen to do yew trees because that's what's in my garden, but you could obviously change the trees to any type of tree that you like. To block in the trees, I take some of my red just on one side of the tree because the side where the sun lights up the tree would be a little bit warmer, and that red will peep through the green later on and make a lovely glow. To paint the other side of the tree, we would need a mid-tone green. And for that, we're going to take our sap green and add a tiny touch of the ultramarine blue to it, just to darken it slightly. I brought that darker green as close to the edge of the red as I could, but leaving some of the red showing through. Using that same mid-tone green, the green with a touch of blue, we'll paint the grass around the trees. The hill that's further away will be a little bit lighter in value, so not as much blue mixed into your green there. This will create some depth. We're going to mix together some yellow and red to make a nice orangey glow for the top of the grass. Where the sun hits the grass, it will be an orangey greenish color. So we'll mix the orange in and then slowly blend it softly into the top of the green of the grass. It's time for us to work on the sky now. We're going to warm it up a little with some of that medium yellow mixed into our light yellow part of the sky. The strongest yellow will be between the trees where the sun's going to be, and then it gets a bit softer as it fades out towards the edges of the sky. Once all the yellow's in, you can take a clean dry brush and softly blend that yellow into the lavendery color above it. Our trees are looking a little bit flat, so we're going to add form to them, make them more 3D, and we're going to put a dark shadow in the middle of the tree. That dark shadow is sap green mixed with a tiny amount of ivory black. We keep that shadow in the middle of the tree, not all the way up to the edges. We're going to leave a little gap around the edges, but we can feather it in just with the tip of the brush into the red on the one side and the greenish color on the other side. This will make it look more natural. We can also add some of that darker color to the tree trunks. Now, while you've got that dark color on your brush, you can paint some shadows in of the trees. Now remember, the sun is coming from the middle of the trees, so one of the shadows will lean towards the left, and then the other shadow will lean towards the right. I'm going to add a little bit of warmth to my trees by adding a little more of that red in, just on one side of the trees, the side that's facing the sun. And also a little bit of red on the trunk, which is facing the sun as well. We don't want our trees to stand out stark against the background, so we're going to soften the edges and make it look a bit more natural, just with a soft, clean, dry brush. I find that watercolor brushes make a good job of this, but you could also use a makeup brush. Those are very good for softening the edges of your paintings too. I feel like the sky needs a little bit more orange, so we're going to put a little more in just above the line of the grass. Now we're going to take a little touch of white mixed with light yellow, just a tiny amount, and we're going to put in the sun, and then you're going to soften it with a clean dry brush to make a glow around your sun. Once you have your glow, you can go back in with your white and yellow mix and put the sun in the middle. Just a few finishing touches, go back in, tidy up some of the lines, strengthen some of the colors, whatever you feel like needs to be done to improve your picture. I stepped back a bit and I thought maybe the sky would benefit from being a bit more pinkish. So I've added some more red into my lavender mix, and I'm just adding a pinkish blush to the sky. I feel like that's a nice warm effect. This is a small study which is in preparation of a larger painting. And this is the opportunity here is to work out the color combinations and the placement of the objects, etc., before we go ahead and paint a much larger painting with it. I'm feeling very happy with this little sketch, and I feel like it would make a really good painting one day. So I'm going to keep this one in my box for future reference. Thank you so much for watching and for following along. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next video.